Tyrannosaurus Rex is unarguably the most iconic and recognizable dinosaurs of all time and is undisputedly the king. But it seems there's a new Tyrannosaurus in town. Here we go again. I had once made a video about a study naming two new Tyrannosaurus species, Tyrannosaurus regina and Tyrannosaurus imperator. The reason for the naming of two new species was because many of the Tyrannosaurus specimens had different proportions, different robustness in the bones and a different shape of bump behind the eye socket compared to what is usually expected of a Tyrannosaurus rex. Other paleontologists argued that the evidence proposed by this study wasn't sufficient enough to consider the naming of two new species, but other species and other dinosaurs have been named with lesser evidence than this. So for now it's kind of arguable if these two were in fact separate species from T-Rex. But turns out this isn't the last time this happened. A partial Tyrannosaurus Rex skull discovered in the Hell Lake Formation in New Mexico in 1983 was recently described only this year, and it seemed to have a few differences from Tyrannosaurus Rex's skull. This new skull had a shallower lower jaw, a longer dentary bone and a less prominent chin, and that's why it probably had a less powerful bite force than the usual Tyrannosaurus Rex skull. This specimen has been dated back to 72.9 to 70.9 million years ago. That's about 5 to 7 million years before Tyrannosaurus Rex lived, and that's why this new skull is now considered to belong to a separate species named Tyrannosaurus Mcraensis after the place it was discovered in. But it turns out that this Tyrannosaurus regina imperator thing wasn't the first time this happened with Tyrannosaurus either. At least the possibilities of Nanotyrannus, Zhuangtyrannus and Tarbosaurus being species of Tyrannosaurus have been considered by paleontologists before. Nanotyrannus may have even actually been a juvenile Tyrannosaurus Rex, except it had a larger number of teeth than a Tyrannosaurus Rex. But a later study showed that another Tyrannosaurus, Gargosaurus, actually did experience reduction in tooth count as it aged, so it still leaves the possibility of Nanotyrannus and Tyrannosaurus Rex being the same species open. But this hasn't happened only with Tyrannosaurus. Other species which were considered separate have been grouped together into one single species, and many other species believed to be one single species have been separated into different species before. This is especially common in paleontology, as you don't know if the difference between specimens is the result of individual variation or the specimens being different species. A very famous case of this is Brontosaurus and Apatosaurus. These two dinosaurs for a very long time were considered to be two separate species, until the discovery of a skeleton with the features of both of the species, after which these two species were grouped together into one single genus under the name Apatosaurus, as that was the older name. Then over 100 years later, a study came along and showed that Apatosaurus had a thicker and more lower set neck than Brontosaurus, making them once again separate species. There have been many more cases of this, both with dinosaurs and with non-dinosaurs, animals, plants, fungi, everything. And for many of them we might not even know the actual answer ever. But that's the beauty of science. So I hope you learned something new today. Please like the video if you liked it, subscribe to the channel if you loved it, stay tuned and bye bye.